I'm talking about a topic that's getting a lot of attention in the real estate world, and that is that home prices are actually going down, plummeting in some major cities. Now, buying a home, it can seem like a really difficult thing right now with everything that's going on because we have this gap between incomes and home prices, and it's bigger than ever. But stick around because I'm going to tell you about the cities where it's actually getting a little bit better with home prices going down and falling instead of increasing. I'm saving the city with the biggest decline year over year for last. So stick around so you can find out what that is. What I did was I just took a look at 200 of the major metropolitan areas across the United States. And some of these were just really once booming markets. I mean, really booming markets. And prices are coming down and they are feeling the pinch hard. During the pandemic, that's when these prices just went crazy all over the United States. And, it was because of migration shifts, there was soaring demand, low interest rates. Americans, everyday Americans and investors had an excess of cash because we'd been sitting at home, it'd been a pandemic, there wasn't anything to buy, and now everybody was just ready to jump into the real estate market. Prices went through the roof, supply and demand. Now we're dealing with the after effects of that pandemic and those economic policies. So there are several factors that are putting pressure on the home prices in different areas. And I mean home prices moving down in different areas. And one of these factors is that builders have new home inventory and they've overbuilt. So in these areas, builders are just slashing the prices. They're offering these huge incentives to buyers to come and buy their home. And then their interest rate, they're giving them money for closing costs. So it's making it easier for buyers to get into a brand new home in these areas where prices are coming down because the builders are pricing with the market. So if you have a pre-existing home, you're an average Joe, and you go on the market and you want to sell your house, you've got to compete with these builders and these incentives. So there's pressure in those markets to bring prices down. Now, as I talk about these 5 specific areas where home prices are coming down, I'm going to talk about the factors in those areas that are bringing these prices down for people. And I'm taking a look at cities with home prices that have decreased year over year. So let's get into it. Okay, we're going to begin with Naples, Marco Island, Florida. They had a 3.2% year over year decrease in home prices. Now, Naples is down 4.4% from its 2022 peak, but 3.2% of that happened just this last year over year. This is an area that exploded during the pandemic. Retirees, they decided, you know what, let's just retire early. We've got a few years anyway. We've got this worldwide pandemic. Let's retire now instead of waiting for a few years. So retirees flocked to Florida. You had this huge boom in the short-term rental market, and investors had their eye on Florida and they flocked to Florida too. But that rapid growth came at a big cost, and now the market is cooling. So one major issue in this area is the condo market. There's a lot of older condos in the Naples area, and deferred maintenance has led to hefty special assessments on these condo properties, which is money that is needed to upgrade the buildings and take care of the property. That money has to come from property owners. So when these big ticket items need to be done, guess who gets to pay for it? The person who owns the condo. So you're seeing special assessments of these big chunks of money, plus HOA dues that are going up as well, your monthly fees. This is making things really unaffordable in Florida. Condo ownership has become significantly more expensive. So that's driving some owners to actually sell and get the heck out of there. Add to that Florida's insurance crisis. Rates have jumped 40 to 60% over the past 3 years for insurance rates. Let that sink in. 40 to 60%? On top of they're already higher than the national average because of being in Florida and the storms that occur in that area. That is a huge expense. And let's not forget about investors. Many bought up condos and homes for short-term rentals during that Airbnb craze. But with insurance costs spiking now and the short-term rental market slowing and cooling, they're now looking at not being able to afford these properties. And so they're wanting to sell and offload them. All of this has contributed to a cooler market in the Naples, San Marcos area. Next city we're going to talk about was the darling city during the pandemic. Everyone wanted to move to Austin, Texas. Let's talk about Austin because it's my city. I am very familiar with what's going on in the Austin market. So year over year, we've had a decrease in Austin prices of 3.5%. But I want to tell you something that's going to just blow your mind. And that is that Austin prices here have dropped a staggering 21% since their 2022 peak during that pandemic craziness. So yes, you heard me right. Prices went crazy during the pandemic, really crazy. But since then, they have come down 21% in the past couple of years. Let that sink in. Austin's not used to being on a list like this. I mean, Austin always makes those best places to live lists and top places people are moving to. So this is a real change for the Austin market. As I said, during the pandemic, Austin was the golden child. And between March 2020 and June 2022, prices went up 72%. So institutional investors flooded the Austin market. They bought up whole neighborhoods and turned them into rental homes. Add to that, individual investors were trying to scoop up properties for Airbnbs or for rental properties, and they were really banking on just the appreciation in Austin. They thought this was really going to happen all of the time. So they were banking on appreciation and they bought properties just based on appreciation alone, not looking at cash flow of properties. So this caused a real issue. On top of that, families were relocating here in droves for work and lifestyle changes, making Austin just a crazy place to be during those boom pandemic real estate years. Builders were also building and could not keep up with the demand. So let's fast forward to now. Hiring in Austin has slowed down. Austin's a big tech city and the tech companies, they've paused their hiring. So we don't have all those people moving in. Investors are hurting with that Airbnb bust and rent prices are down. Those investors, they're cashing out. And builders are now offering huge incentives, again, with the rate buy downs and price cuts just to move their inventory because these builders continued to build during that time and now they've got a surplus. This is really causing, again, some stiff competition for just your average home seller who wants to sell their house, having to compete with these new builder incentives, along with a lot less buyers in the market and investors getting out of their properties. And let's face it, there's a lot of buyers still on the sidelines. But here is the upside with Austin, Texas. If you are looking for a deal, especially on new construction, Austin is your city. This is a market that will come back, but it is a market that is experiencing a downturn right now. And what's the old adage? Buy low, sell high. As I mentioned, Austin is near and dear to my heart because it's my city. It's where I live. It's where I sell homes. So if you do want to have a conversation about Austin and about that market, my contact info is below and feel free to reach out. Moving on. Number 3 on my list is Sarasota metro area. Again, Florida. They are down 5.3% on their home prices year over year. And Sarasota is down 8.3% from its peak in 2022. Like Naples, this market saw massive gains during the pandemic as people moved in for Florida's lifestyle and the weather. But the same issues that are plaguing Naples are hitting Sarasota hard. The condo market has troubles, rising insurance costs, and investor pullback. Hurricane Ian was another major factor here in this area. It was the third costliest hurricane in U.S. history. It caused extensive damage. It's driving up insurance premiums even further. So some residents, they're just like, we're done. We're moving out. We can't handle these rising costs. That's really softened demand and increased the inventory in the Sarasota area. Number 2 on my list, Cape Coral, Florida. Florida is getting the prize here today. Cape Coral has seen a 5.5% year over year decline and an 8.4% drop since the 2022 peak. Inventory in Cape Coral is really up significantly. More people are moving out than in. Like other Florida markets, rising insurance premiums pricing out many of the homeowners. What's unique about Cape Coral is it's had a reputation as an affordable waterfront community. And during the pandemic, it really became a hotspot for buyers who were looking for affordability and that little slice of paradise in Florida. But as those prices skyrocketed during the pandemic, the affordability naturally took a hit. So now with inventory climbing, demand cooling, the market is definitely correcting. Okay, number one on the list, Punta Gorda, Florida, down 7.3% year over year. So they get the number one spot with the year over year drop, and they're at a 13% decline from their 2022 peak. Inventory of homes in Punta Gorda has exploded. It's 81% higher than pre-pandemic levels. 81% more homes on the market than there were pre-pandemic. So that's really tough. Now, Punta Gorda has been through this before. It was one of the hardest hit markets during the 2008 housing crash, and history, unfortunately, seems to be repeating itself here. Prices rose too high, too fast, and now the market has to correct. And then, of course, you've got the ongoing insurance crisis, and that gives you just a recipe for declining home prices in Punta Gorda. The takeaway here, if you're judging by year over year prices, Punta Gorda is the winner. But if you're judging from that 2022 peak, Austin takes the crown with the biggest price drop. Now, before I made this video, while I was doing research for it, I didn't know who was going to be on the list. I didn't know which cities. I mean, I kind of had a clue, but, I wanted to dig into the numbers. So I wasn't intending to talk a lot about Austin, but as I said, I live in Austin. I'm an Austin realtor, so I know this market, and I certainly know what has been going on with Austin real estate. So I want to give you my insight on this city. If you are looking to buy, if you're looking to invest, the thing about Austin is as rates come down in the future and demand picks back up, we have so much pent up demand. There are people that want to buy, they're waiting. Home prices are going to stabilize. Texas is a desirable state to businesses with its tax incentives, and Austin is historically a hot market with business opportunities, tax breaks, and the quality of life. Austin is an opportunity market right now. So if you are thinking about buying in 2025, whether as an investor or for yourself, you want to consider the Austin metro area, then let's have a conversation. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you've got some useful information. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I like to make videos on just real world real estate advice. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.